Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Bowling University studio from the International Bowling Campus here in Arlington, Texas. I'm Bart Berger, and I'll be your host for this edition of the Bowling University Profit Break. Thank you all for joining us. Our mission here at the university is to enrich people's lives personally and professionally, and the Profit Break is an opportunity for sharing insights on how to grow revenue, reduce costs, enrich yourself, your team, and your business. Now, if you're joining the Profit Break for the first time, welcome. We're glad you're here. Give us 15 minutes and you're going to be well on your way to improving your profitability. Now, I always love when we're fortunate enough to have in-studio guests, and today we have with us Mr. Mike Holtzman. Now, Mike is the president and CEO of Profitable Food Facilities Worldwide, a company specializing in captive market restaurant locations, including amusement parks, water parks, ski resorts, casinos, private country clubs, you name it, and of course, bowling and bowling entertainment centers. Now, he's worked with more than 800 facilities, helping them generate, listen to this, more than $300 million in profits all around the world, including North America, Europe, Jamaica, Asia, and the Middle East. Now today, we're going to spend some time talking about menu engineering and the science behind the success. Mike, welcome. Thank you for coming to the campus. Glad you're here today.
Thanks, Bart. Really appreciate it. Appreciate you having me.
Awesome. Well, hey, Mike is a great friend of bowling, and you've been with us at Bowl Expo and Summit and other events and helping us with many things. We're just so fortunate to have you here for a Profit Break. So before we jump into our content today of this menu engineering, tell us a little bit about your organization. And I know you've done so many things, but how did you get tied into bowling?
Yeah, I mean, I actually started in bowling when it was my first job. I got to do some scorekeeping, and I was about 4'10", and you're like, does that guy know any math? And I'd come up, but yeah, that's where it all that was my first career, so it got kind of introduced that way. But kept following through with college and got my degree in restaurant management, 10 years in the business there, and then went out to the captive market part where we could really attack the people that don't get as much help. I mean, the mom and pop operations of water parks and golf courses and ski resorts and bowling centers where do you look for advice on food and beverage, and you're focused so much on the bowling and everything else that's brought in, and then here are these ancillary centers that we could help with. So food and beverage has its own challenges and its uniqueness, and the topic we're on today is a little more advanced, but we'll bring it all full circle about what we mean by menu engineering, kind of explaining it out. But yeah, 800 projects now in 49 states, 5 continents. It's been a wild ride. Having a great time with this.
Awesome. Well, we're glad you're back to bowling. I mean, and you came all the way back full circle, and you're back home. Welcome.
Absolutely.
And we're fortunate to have you in our industry there. So let's start at 30,000 feet. And I know we could probably spend a lot of time just even trying to unpack what it is, but can you share with us a little bit about, for folks that maybe have heard the term but not sure what it means, what is menu engineering? What are we talking about? And
let's take the first part of that word, menu. I think that's really the leading point of this, is that we want to make sure that we've got a menu that we can. There's 3 things that I always say. It's got to be efficient, it's got to taste great, it's got to be executable. So when you have those pieces, and let me rephrase that. Let's see, profitability, execution, yeah, those 3 points. If you're missing one, you pull it off your menu. So if you got an item that's easy to make, great tasting, but doesn't make you any money, it's off the menu. So you want to start first with a really good, strong core menu. And it might only be 20 items. A lot of times we walk into a bowling center, the first thing we look at the menu and go, that's a really great menu. Cut it in half because it's just too big. Yeah. If I've got 40 items and I can make it with 20 items, then I have 20 less items for somebody that I have to teach how to make them. It's 20 less items that we have to do training manuals on. It's 20 less items I have to purchase. And more than likely, it's not going to hurt what people purchase because they're at a captive location for a short period of time looking for something really good. So starts with a core menu. When we're engineering the menu, now we start to move products around and want to sell certain items. So the term menu engineering means what I want you to buy is really the best way to define that. So I want you to buy these products. Why would I want you to buy it? Because it tastes great, it's executable, and it's profitable, right? It always meets those 3 criteria. So we want to keep it around those 3 things. And then we'll start to play a little bit as we get into the questions here about what that means. But start with a good core menu first, and then we can start to engineer it.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I love it. Tastes great, executable, and it's got to be profitable. So, that's good stuff. So if you know you need to fix your menu, and we've listened to what you shared with us, where do we even start? I mean, how do we know what's next?
Yeah, I think we have to do a little homework. Sometimes in life we have to do a little bit of work to make sure. And I always say this with my first client. we were sitting there looking at the menu, and we're figuring out they were running, 45, 50% cost of goods, and you really like to be 25 to 30% cost of goods. Food cost is not a straight line. So we know that if we're running a 50% cost, that means things are up here in the 60s and 70s. So we said, well, let's cost everything out, meaning we take what each ingredient costs, and you list that out, and you come up with a price. So we priced grape juice. And the grape juice, they were selling it for $1.29, and we costed it out, and the cost of the grape juice was $1.37. So we did our homework, and we're like, wow, every time we sell a grape juice, we lose 8 cents, not including labor or anything else. So the first step we always say is you have to take your whole menu, and even if it's something as a grape juice, just take the time, grab the invoices, sit down, do some homework. It's simple math. Takes a little bit of time, but it's the most #1 exercise at every restaurant nationwide, no matter whether you're a water park, golf course, ski resort, or Disney. Spend the time to cost it out, because you can't put a price on something until you know what it costs. So, and then you're going to find some surprises. You're going to find some things that are not what you thought were going to cost as they is. So you want to spend the time to do that. Cost everything out first.
Yeah, so I think I want to make sure that all of our folks tuning in, they heard that you have to do the homework, you have to cost out those recipes, and it really is not even an option, right? I mean, because in your example, there are, probably all of us have some items that are maybe not to the extreme of the grape juice, but probably some items that aren't doing what we think they are. Exactly,
yep. Like I said, if food cost is creeping up on you, it's not about 1 or 2 items that are doing that. There's some things that you want to find in there, and that you're going to find it out really quick when you start to do that analysis.
Yeah. Now, I've heard you speak before. Of course, you've been with us, but I had the pleasure of meeting you at IAPA, where you've done some great sessions there as well. I've heard you say before that you should try all your menu items and rate them from 1 to 10. Now, I'm all about trying the food, but what's the reason behind that, and why would you rate them, and what do you do with that?
Well, I think the thing that's interesting is that you start to grab your nachos. When you look at, some people grab a prepackaged bag of chips. They go over to their machine that puts out some yellow stuff, and they serve that as a product and say, okay, we're going to sell that for $4.95. And then you taste it and you go, this cheese really isn't that good, and the chips are kind of old and stale. So what can we do with this to make it better? And so you rate that. What I kind of strategically, when we're tasting the food, we'll be like, well, I know that one's not very good and that one's not very good. So we'll kind of bring that over to the staff. We'll have a staff meeting. We'll go, okay, rate these 5 products, and one of them's the nachos like that, and we're like, so what can we do to make that better? We can go get chips that we can go fry ourselves. We could put fresh cheese on it if we wanted to, or just buy at least a better nacho cheese, one that can work a little bit better for us, so that has a better quality. Because there's lower grades of even that squeezable yellow cheese, and there's some higher grades of it. So to me, it's worth spending a little bit of money to get those nachos up to that quality. So doing that little tasting and yourselves to rate your own products, so we want to have everything in an 8+. That's the goal. If we're at an 8+, we're going to more than likely exceed their expectation. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and I do like the fact that you answer that back with not necessarily just getting rid of the menu item, but how do you make it better? Because, right, maybe we want a nacho, but is it the right nacho? So it's not necessarily just having a poor item and getting rid of it, right? Looking for that opportunity to class it up to make it an 8.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't have to. It's not that we want to get rid of nachos, because they're a very popular product. It's just how can we do it a different way that's going to, where you come in, and then not only is it, then remember the other part about this taste, execution, profitability. The profitability part for this is that your chips are a lot cheaper when you go ahead and fry them yourself. They're 1/4 the cost of buying a pre-made chip. So you're going to bring the cost of your nachos down. You're going to bring the quality up. It's just kind of, and when you start looking at all your products that way, there's a lot of opportunities to make things better.
Right. So we've rated the items, we've got rid of the dogs, we've got them up to a acceptable level, so we meet your 3 criteria.
Yeah.
As we're working down the next level of engineering our menu, where do descriptions come in? Are they important, and where do they fit into that?
So not only descriptions, but pictures. But I'll take your descriptions word first, because if you're going to do a fresh hamburger, then tell people it's a fresh hamburger. We take fresh ground beef and we fry it smash it on our grill and serve that to you. Because a lot of people don't know. They're assuming that it's going to be just like a McDonald's frozen hamburger or a Burger King frozen hamburger. That's the assumption. So tell your story. If we're going fresh, tell your story. Great thing to do on the web. By the way, we hear, one of our most favorite campaigns is We Hear You. You say our food isn't up to snuff, not what we want it to be. Well, here's what we're doing to make it better. We're starting fresh tenders next week. We're going to be starting fresh burgers next month. We're going to be, so that gives you a reason to tell a story of what you're doing and lets people know that the quality is going to be there too. So I think that's one of the keys with this too, is make sure you tell your story when you're going on that quality side. So, and then put that in your descriptions. Pictures that are literally sell your product. And so we want to have pictures of the key products, the ones that, you know, maximize our revenue, knowing that we're going after this from a quality standpoint. You're going to like this. You're going to like it so much, I put a picture on the menu to make sure that you would. So that's kind of the goal with the pictures, is to enhance that menu with 2 or 3 of them as you put them on the board. So it's hard to do these with these old school plug in the letter boards. You know, to be able to start to menu engineer something that way, we're going to have to kind of change the menu boards around. But the good news is menu board pricing is starting to drop. A lot simpler to do that, even though you say, oh my gosh, I have to change the menu board out. Well, you can do a vinyl board for $70 now. You know, and even if you change your prices every 6 months, that's $140. It's not expensive. And now you can start to put pictures on and different things. So you don't have to have fancy TVs. You don't have to, but you got to take it a step up from the old-fashioned plug in the number boards to start to menu engineer something.
Yeah, and digital menu boards are so affordable now. When, you know, getting the $49 55-inch, 32-inch TV that you can use now, it's really become very affordable to get into that space and do that.
There's definitely opportunity there, and it's just, you have to be a little bit more enhanced of not just listing items, you know, hamburger, cheese, nachos, etc. You want to be able to at least be able to get some pictures into that to incorporate that so that you can help enhance the sales. You'll see that if you take a menu and you pick a menu with pictures, the pictures will normally be the top 3 to 5 sellers every time, because that's what people guide and go, oh, I can visualize myself eating this. So the pictures become real important.
Yeah, awesome. So you started off a few minutes ago and you mentioned about the example of having too many items on the menu. I know many locations have had to cut down their menu and pare that down because of supply chain issues. But aside from that, I mean, how many menu items are too many? I mean, I'm sure you dealt with clients pre-pandemic that had too many menu items. So how do you know?
I think we always usually take the word of thumb of, if you take your menu right now and make a goal and see if you can cut it in half. I think that's the opportunity there. But let's go back to doing your homework here, because I've costed my menu item out. I've got these 20 items that I'm working with. These 20 aren't selling as much. So there, let's do that. There, we just eliminated the first 20. Now what do I do with these 20? Defining what menu engineering is. Well, these 5 net me the most amount of net profit. So let's say that I'm selling all these 5 items for $10, and they basically cost me $3 to make. So I'm netting $7 from each of these. Or I have down here nachos that I sell at $4.95. They only cost me $1, so I make $3.95 on my nachos. Okay, do you want to make $3.95 on your nachos, or do you want to make $7 on these 5 items up here? That's where the engineering starts to come in, where you take those 5 items, you drop them in the center of the menu, but you don't make the text the same size as everybody else. You make the text larger. You put more description with it. You make it stand out with a big box around it. You know, so that's how you start to engineer the menu to guide people, and then you add some pictures with that. Now you're starting to literally say, hey, look at my menu board. But if I were you, I'd get those 5 things right there in the center. Those are the ones that taste the best, are great tasting, executable, and from my end, those are the ones that make me the most money.
So there really is a science, not only to the understanding the description and the pictures, but where you lay it out on the menu, no matter what type of menu you have.
Absolutely. So there's a study that was done that when people eye menu boards or menus, they'll go center, top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right, is how people read. So, but when you break up that pattern by going bam and putting a big box around something in the center and saying, here, pick me here, you change the eye pattern. And so people will go straight to that part before they go to the other locations. So even when you're taking an appetizer list of 7 items, you want that top left appetizer to be that falling right into that criteria. It's really, really critical. You know, we've seen menus where we have menus laid out and it's the top item was chicken livers. And I know that there's a clientele base for chicken livers, but not always the one that you want to have in the top right corner of what you're trying to sell, if you know what I mean.
All 6 of them.
That one. Yeah, exactly. Like have some other options before you have that one as your prime call as for your menu item there. So
the good brands that study this and have folks like you that help, the items aren't there by chance. They're strategically placed in there for desire and based on what you're trying to get the guests to do.
There is one chain that develops 12 different menus. across the nation. They then take that menu nationwide and have with 12 different layouts. They come back and find out which one of those 12 menus was the lowest food cost between those, and then they send that menu out nationwide the following month. So that's how detailed they get into it, where they literally, we're not really sure about how this is going to work the best way. But when we do it like this, it presents like this. So I can just tell you from a simple terms of the company that I worked for in my early days, we had 3 pictures on the wall all the time of our menu board that was posted up. We had 3 pictures. And the picture that we had in the top left corner was a menu item we ran at 18% cost of goods. And every single month we'd have a corporate meeting. And they'd be like, Mike, you run the lowest cost of goods in our company by 1% on every single month that you are here. What is your secret? What's your secret? And I'm like, well, Joe, we just do really good, we do a great job here and we control our costs and we do great. I never shared that it was the picture that was at 18% because we sold more of those items than anything else. And that kept corporate off my, off of me and been working with other stores. So that's always my best story with this about where I learned it. But this really is powerful about what a picture can do that literally will sell you the items.
Yeah, fascinating subject of some science. We could talk about this for a long, long time. But before we let you go, I'm going to sneak in one more question here. All of that wrapped together, I mean, without sharing any proprietary information from clients you've worked with, but what are the results? I mean, right? We know it does better, but I mean, how much better? I mean, what can we expect?
If you take the time and engineer a menu properly, you can get a menu to produce basically $1 net profit per guest. So if you have 250,000 people come to your bowling center, you can net another $250,000 in net profit by spending the time and due diligence to create a menu that's engineered. So I kind of look at that as I do a little homework, I spend a little bit of time with this, I don't have to do anything else. The menu takes care of itself after that. All I have to do is execute just like I would be with those items anyway. So it's very, very powerful to be able to get that much net out of it by just spending the time and doing this.
Yeah, that is amazing, Mike. $1 profit per guest. Hope everybody heard that. That's amazing there. So, Mike, thank you for being with us. Welcome to the campus. Hope you enjoyed your visit.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Awesome. Well, hey, everybody, if you would like to learn more about menu engineering and the science behind the success, you can connect with Mike at profitablefood.com. So as we wrap up another edition of the Bowling University Profit Break, remember, when your focus is on growing people, people will grow your business. We look forward to seeing you next time for another great episode. Now, if you have any questions about today's show or like to connect with us here for any additional information, you can reach us anytime at education@bpa.com. Also, you and your team can watch any of the previous episodes 24/7 by visiting bowlinguniversity.net. The Profit Break is now available when you want it, and we have new episodes premiering every month. Until then, I'm Bart Berger, and remember, do for one what you wish you could do for everyone. See you next time.